Hey, it's Damien from Marketing Food Online. So if you are operating a spice business online and you're trying to think to yourself, how can I use Facebook ads to get more attention on my products, but I've never run one before, how do they work? And can I create a simple ad campaign to promote my spice business? Well, in this video, I'm actually gonna walk you through step by step on how you can create Facebook ads for your food business. And this video is gonna be all about spices. And we're gonna get to it right now. All right, so as I mentioned in the introduction, I'm actually here in my office and I'm going to walk you through a Facebook ad tutorial for your spice business. And I'm actually gonna start a series of videos on different niches of food and different types of food that you're gonna sell online. This video is gonna be specifically about spice business, and I'm gonna give you some tips and pointers on how to really run a simple Facebook ad and the sequence that you should run it in. And what I mean by that is that you need to run at least 3 ads in your campaign. And we're gonna jump into that in a second. But before we do, as always, if this is your first video for Marketing Food Online, definitely hit the subscribe button. We have over 800 free videos here on Marketing Food to help you get your food business up and running, or even get a food truck started or create a packaged food product and sell it online. So let's dive right into it. I've got my laptop open here. I'm gonna walk you through, I'm gonna give you an example. This is actually going to use a URL link from a product actually on Amazon. This is not one of my products. I'm just using this for the demo for the purposes of this video. So you have to understand a couple things before we get started. Facebook ads can be extremely powerful, and definitely if you use them in the right way, they can be something that definitely sells a lot of your product. And one way to do that is by running them in a sequence of 3 separate campaigns. This is something that I've done over the past probably about 2.5 years, but it's done very, very well for us for our Amazon store, selling cookies and chocolate pretzels and all the other items that we do. So why do you run 3 different ads, Damien? So number 1, you want to create an ad that you're going to get some information. You want some analytics and some statistics on the back end of the campaign. And you want to look at either who's clicking, what are their interests, is it men, is it women, what is the age group, and all of the demographic information. And all of that's going to be really simple to actually accumulate on the first campaign. You don't need to spend a lot of money to do this, but you're going to do it once and then you're going to refine it a second time. And on the third time, you're going to definitely know much, much more about who's clicking, and that way you can define who is actually going to be clicking on the ad and who's interested in it actually at all, okay? So let's dive into it. I've got my laptop recording here. I'm going to pull a product. I'm going to use our Facebook page for Marketing Food Online to do this demo. So I'm going to go over to Amazon. I found this little spice rack. It's a McCormick spice rack, which is, of course, specifically, we're doing this video about spices. Now, keep in mind, too, if you're interested in this ad video, I'm actually going to do more Facebook ads on how to market your food products, and they're going to be for cookies, they're going to be for spices, they're going to be for all kinds of different food items. So each video will be specific, and I'll give you some pointers on each specific type of niche, okay? You can't necessarily apply what I'm going to do here to every type of food product that's out there, or if you're selling a variety of different items, it doesn't really necessarily work that way. So we're going to brainstorm some ideas, and then that way it'll help you out. So we're going to copy the URL. That's going to be the link on the top. We're going to create a post. And then from here, we will begin to create the actual ad, okay? So you have to, of course, write something about your spices. Specifically, is if it's a new line of spices, if it's a seasoning blend that's very new, or if it maybe it's for Indian cuisine, if it's something that's for Asian food, or if it's something for barbecue, whatever that may be, this actually spice rack, and again, we could take a look at this for a second. This spice rack itself has a bit of information right here about what it is. So this is a huge assortment. So this is something that could apply to a lot of variations of foods with different types of flavor profiles, okay? So we're gonna put on here, perfect gift for any chef at home with a variety of flavors to choose from. Okay, and we're gonna keep it really simple, all right? Now, of course I spelled flavors wrong. There we go. Below this, I recommend 2 to maybe 3 hashtags too. When you create this post, you can use hashtags, and they give you a wide variety of people that you can reach outside of just the ad that you're doing. So the post will have the information, you'll have a couple of hashtags, and then you're gonna paste the URL link, and then that's going to show up in a second here, I'll show you. That'll show up the actual product, the price point, where it's coming from, and all that, okay? So from here, I would do hashtag maybe chef, hashtag cook, or even cooking. So as you also begin to type a hashtag, it's going to autofill and show you a variety of hashtags related to what you're doing, okay? Some of these, like this one, for instance, you have cooking, which reaches 7.1 million posts about cooking. So that's a hugely popular hashtag. There's nothing wrong with go ahead and using that also, okay? Now the other one is cooking, I just noticed, cooking at home. So look at this, 608,000 posts. So this is something that also could reach, since we're in the situation that we're in thanks to 2020, a lot of people are at home right now cooking and using a lot more spices. So this may be a great hashtag right now to use because you can reach a lot of people with it. Now, we've got that done. Now the third section here is going to be our pasted URL. So give it just 1 second to fill in here. So this is going to be, again, the URL link, and I'll go back over here. That's at the top. So that would be your link for your product. If you're selling it, it doesn't matter, on eBay, or if you're selling to Shopify, you've got your own URL that's associated with your website, perfect. But you make sure that you get the top portion of it, okay? All right, so we're gonna put that in, and then we are going to hit post. And we're not gonna put a button on right now, just hit not now. Give it just a second to show up here. And then we're gonna get into the details on who you actually need to attract for this product. What's really cool about spices is that it really does attract a lot of people, a variety of people. So there's a huge demographic for spices because in essence, really everyone that cooks anything is really going to end up using some type of spice. And this particular product also has a big variety of spices as well. So let's scroll down and let's find it. There it is. All right, so now you're going to come to the actual post, and then you're going to hit boost post. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to begin to clarify exactly who we want to see this post. Okay, now how much, Damien, how much money do I spend on my first campaign? To be honest with you, you don't need to go anywhere between $10 to $15 and above that. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars the first time out. If you have the budget to do that, feel free to, but you don't necessarily need to do that to really get a basic understanding of who is actually clicking on the actual ad itself. So let me show you. Normally I do about $20 to maybe $30, and then I'll show you specifically why. Okay, so now the audience. So who should see your ad? So here we go. Earlier I was actually playing around with this ad, and I determined a handful. Now number one, I don't necessarily go men or women specifically on the first campaign. I do all. Why is that? Well, because you don't want to keep out a demographic. Obviously, if you did just women, there's a lot of men who also cook, or if you did just men, there's a lot of women who enjoy cooking too, or even grilling on the grill. They could use the spices. So I don't want to limit the availability or the reach of this ad campaign. So you want to click all. Now the age group, again, this doesn't have to be so defined and specific on the first campaign, okay? If you want to go all the way down to like 18 or 19, that's fine. Are there a lot of 18 and 19-year-olds generally on Facebook who do cooking with spices? Probably not. So I'm going to just start off at around 23. These are going to be kind of guesses at first because after you run the campaign, then you can look at the data and find out specifically what is the age group, okay? Some of the stuff that we run, chocolate-covered pretzels, we get 35 to 45-year-olds. Nobody really past that ends up buying the type of pretzels we have, which is unusual, but it works. That's just what it is. So some of the other items like cookies, there's a certain type of cookie that we make. It's actually older. It's about 45, 50, 60, 70. I'm not saying those are people old, but just those age groups, that demographic is specifically geared towards that type of cookie. So everything's always going to be, each campaign is going to be a little different. So I'm going to keep it from 23 to, let's say, 55, okay? Now, locations. I'm just going to do the United States. I'm not going to be doing overseas or doing some other. Now, this is where the part gets a little more detailed. Now, you have to think to yourself, who uses spices? Obviously, the word spices, add people who match at least one of the following. So here's what I want to do. I'm actually going to eliminate all of these, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Now, by the way, look down here, right now as it is, if I just did the United States without specifying any other interests, is 160 million people. That's obviously on a budget of $20, you're not going to reach 160 million people. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to type in cooking. Okay, so I've got cooking. I'm obviously going to do that, right? So that begins to eliminate, it begins to go down. Obviously 85 million is still a lot. So people who like to do cooking, people who who might be chefs. So I'll type in the word chef. And again, think outside the box, or you can even go to Google. Type in the word spices, okay? And see what actual other keywords come up with what people type in for Google, okay? That's gonna give you a good brainstorming idea of who actually uses them, because you wanna define that here on Facebook, but you don't have to get too specific right off the bat, okay? So we like chef, perfect. Let's say barbecue. And then it'll autofill again. You see it coming up here? Beautiful. So you hit barbecues. Okay, now I'm going to type it one more time because I see some other interests. Pitmasters, awesome. Cook. Not cooking, but just cook. So the other thing would be maybe even this one, a demographic of cook. Instead of cooking, a cook. Okay? Spices. Let's type in spices. So that is an interest. Obviously, if this is spices, you want people interested in it. Do that. So click on spices. That's going to give you another set of interests. Okay, and we're going to do one more. Now, as I do this, little by little, this begins to change because it's going to define that specific demographic. And those are going to be the people who will see your ad on Facebook for spices. Let's do one more. Let's just do the word spice. Okay, fantastic. There we go. Spice rub. Beautiful. Perfect. So we've got that defined, okay? Now down here, this also comes up with some variety of interests which really don't have much to do with what we're doing. So once you're done with that, you want to save the audience. So here, you look here, this is all the information we just put in, okay? So people who are cooks or people who love cooking, chefs, pitmasters, spices, perfect, okay? So now let's scroll down a little bit, and now we need to define how much of a budget and the duration of the Facebook ad. So how long will it run, and how much do you want to spend? Very simple. Okay, so number one, it's going to be preset here. It's going to have 5 days. I like to do it 7 days just to give it one complete full week. You can do it however long you want, but to be honest with you, a good range is between 5 to about 10 days. You can go beyond 10 days, but you don't need to do that, okay? So I'm going to spend $30. This is going to be the total budget, and I'm going to go ahead and do it for 7 days. Now, as you go up in days, the estimated per day reach is going to go down because they're stretching your budget out further and further, okay? So 7 days is perfect. So it's going to end, if I started it today, it's going to end on the 24th, okay? So my total budget is 30. Now, as I go up, obviously, you see this increase. If you want to spend 40 or even maybe $50, spend $50. You're going to reach about 340 to about 1,000 people a day. That's going to be almost 7,000 people. That's fantastic. Now, here's a little tip. If you're selling a product on Facebook that's food related and you are spending $50, what I try to do is I kind of keep my budget within the price point of a single price point for the product itself. Here's what I mean. The cookies that I sell for $24.99, I normally spend about $30 budget because I know that if I sell even on the low end, two of those, I'm going to break even and then make profit on one single order. Now, what I mean by this is if you sell an item that's like $4 or $5 and you're spending $100 on ad, that means that you're going to have to sell a lot of them just to break even. So try to find a product or create a bundle for your spices that is dedicated to a price point that's really going to make sense if you spend $50. That means that if you have a product that, let's say, sells for $50, you only need to sell one to at least break even. That's in the worst case scenario, but that's not going to happen. I can't guarantee you how many people are going to sell or buy your product, but in worst case scenario, you sell one, you break even. You're probably going to sell, if you're reaching 7,000 people, you'll probably sell a couple hundred units. You should do that, okay? Now, I can't guarantee that, of course. One time we did a $20 ad and we sold like $900 in cookies. So it cost us around 20 bucks. We spent, we made about $900 and that was fantastic. Okay, that was way above and beyond, obviously, the budget. So keep that in mind. So the lower price item that you have, if you end up spending $100, you're going to have to sell a lot of units. If you have a $25, $30, $40 item, if you spend 20 bucks, you only got to sell a couple. I mean, right? So you could spend 50 bucks and you're going to reach about 1,000 people a day. That's it. Okay? And then, of course, you just go ahead and boost the post. I'm not going to do that right now because then it ends up setting it up and starting the campaign. But that's it. That's very simple. So you basically, to recap, you want to take the URL, you want to add that URL, the link, right directly to the post. Post it, boost the post, and create specific demographics of people you want to reach. Create your budget. And again, you're going to do this once. So here's what's going to happen. After this one campaign is completed, the information you're going to get as far as the age, men or women, where they're from, what their interests, that's going to let you refine this, and you're going to run it again. And on the second time, you're going to get even more narrowed of a search, and you're going to find out who specifically is actually clicking on your ad. The third time is a charm. The third time is the best one because that's going to be one that's so refined, you're going to be making much, much more money, or you should be making much more money by having people click on and buy the product, okay? Because you have created that specific demographic and you're hitting the right people, okay? So that's it. If that was helpful, please let me know down below with a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about Facebook ads for your food business, specifically spices, ask me and let me know, and then I'll try to get to them as soon as I possibly can. I'll see you guys on our next video. Thanks for watching Marketing Food Online. And if you are looking to create your own food truck, start a home-based food business under the cottage food law, franchise a food operation, start a packaged food business, private label your own food product, sell on Amazon, get your own online store, or sell food online, remember to subscribe and check out these videos for more resources. Take care.